If you want to fast-track your vocabulary learning, then today's video is for you. I'm going to share 50 German words with you that we have adapted from the English language and use in daily life. Some don't even have a German equivalent because those are new words and concepts, and some do have a German equivalent, but you'll rarely hear a native speaker use them anymore nowadays, unless they're maybe my grandma's generation, which is very old. She's actually turning 90 next year. Random side note. So if you're excited to expand your vocabulary in no time, then give this video a like. And if you're new here, hello, my Name ist Salome. I'm a German native teacher, and on this channel I teach practical German. I upload a new lesson every single week, so if you don't want to miss it, then make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Our YouTube family is growing, and it's growing fast, and I appreciate every single one of you who tunes in every week and watches my videos. Vielen Dank, Leute. Also dann. Bist du bereit? Los geht's! So as mentioned before, a lot of these so-called Anglizismen, so English words that we use in German, are used to express new things and concepts. And in the last 50 years or so, there's been a huge change when it comes to technology. So there are a bunch of new words that just don't have a German equivalent. Like for example, die E-Mail or der Computer or der oder das Laptop. And yes, this word does have two different articles, as you can see in the official German dictionary, der Duden. I personally prefer to say der Laptop just because it's also der Computer, so it's easier to remember. But since a lot of these words are relatively new, we had to come up with the genders for these as well, and for some there are just simply two genders. Next is das Smartphone. Now we do have another German word for mobile phone, which is das Handy. It's a false friend. Watch out here because handy in English means something different. But I would say that das Handy is more the general term for mobile phone, and das Smartphone is more specific to phones that have a touchscreen and apps on it. Which leads me to my next word, die oder das App. Again, here, based on the Duden, we do have two different genders. I personally prefer to say die App, mainly because it's also die Applikation in German. So for example, die oder das Dating App, die oder das Wetter App. Also, a side note here on the spelling, you can spell these words with a hyphen or write it as one word. Both is allowed, so it can be written as die oder das Dating App with or without the hyphen. Another app we use a lot is WhatsApp, and we've even made it a verb. WhatsAppen, meaning to send a message on WhatsApp. I'm not even kidding, this word is listed in the Duden as a weak verb, ein schwaches Verb, which simply means it's a regular verb, so you would conjugate it as follow. Ich WhatsAppe, du WhatsAppst, sie es WhatsAppt, wir WhatsAppen, ihr WhatsAppt, sie WhatsAppen. And the past participle for it, which you would need for the perfect tense, is gewhatsappt. A bit confusing? Let's take a look at some example sentences. So if you want to ask someone to send you the photos, for example, on WhatsApp, you can say, kannst du mir die Fotos WhatsAppen? Or if you want to say that you're texting someone the information on WhatsApp, you can say, ich WhatsAppe dir die Infos. Or in the past, it would be, ich habe dir die Infos gewhatsappt. You'll also sometimes hear people say, ich schicke dir eine WhatsApp. I'll send you a WhatsApp, which is short for die WhatsApp-Nachricht. By the way, a lot of social media apps have a similar pronunciation to English. So it's das Instagram, das YouTube, das Facebook und das TikTok. And it's also der Account. For this word, there is actually a German equivalent, which is das Konto, but to be honest, most of the time we refer to das Konto when we're talking about das Bankkonto, for example, or any other sort of like more official accounts. When it comes to social media accounts, you'll hear people say der Instagram account or der Facebook account. Speaking of social media, we also borrow the verb to scroll from English, which is scrollen. Zum Beispiel, den Artikel zu lesen, musst du nach unten scrollen. Ich habe die ganze Nacht durch Instagram gescrollt. Ich verschwende viel Zeit damit, durch Posts zu scrollen. We also use the verb swipen, also nach rechts oder links swipen, to swipe left or right. If you know, you know. Or etwas updaten, also das Update, etwas downloaden, der Download, etwas uploaden, der Upload, chatten, der Chat, oder etwas checken. Based on the prefix of this verb, it does have different meanings, like for example, einchecken means to check in, auschecken means to check out, and abchecken means to check something or someone out. Now moving on to the next category, there are also lots of Anglizismen that are work-related. Like for example, der Job or das Meeting. We can also say die Besprechung, but das Meeting is used just as often, if not even more often. And also der Call instead of der Anruf. I often refer to der Call when I'm talking about a call or an online meeting on my computer, so via Zoom, Google Meets, Skype, and so on. Der Anruf is usually used for an actual phone call. Here are a few more job-related words that we have adapted from English. Das Marketing or das Feedback. Like for example, das Feedbackgespräch, which is a conversation with the manager or boss to get feedback on your performance. Speaking of manager, in German we also say der Manager or das Team, der Service, das Design, die Deadline. For this, there is the German word der Abgabetermin, which kind of means the submission date, but it's also common to just say die Deadline. Oder der Workshop, das Projekt, das Teamwork. Another topic or field that has changed a lot because of social media and YouTube is the fitness industry. As you may or may not know, I'm a huge fitness enthusiast, and there are so many words in fitness that we prefer to use the English word for because there is either no German word for it or it's just way too long. So for example, das Supplement. The actual German word for it would be das Nahrungsergänzungsmittel. Das Nahrungsergänzungsmittel. Nobody says that nowadays when you talk about your whey protein or your magnesium, your omega-3 and whatnot. We just use the English word das Supplement oder supplements. However, you will find the German word on product descriptions, so it's kind of still good to know. We also say das Training, or the verb for it is trainieren. Like for example, ich trainiere heute die Beine. In daily life, you'll also hear das Gym very often used by younger generations. Like I, for example, say, ich gehe heute ins Gym, instead of saying das Fitnessstudio, which is a bit too long for me. Now, I know there will be people saying, but we need to keep the German language alive, and that are very much against using Anglicisms, especially if there is a German word for it, but that's just the direction we are heading. Just because there are some words that are substituted doesn't mean that the whole language is going to extinct, and also language continuously changes and develops. That's how it has been for centuries, and that's also what makes languages so interesting. Where it does get a little bit tricky is when we use an English word, but there is already a German word with the same spelling, but different meaning. Like for example, spotten, to spot someone, which means to help someone out with the weights in the gym for safety reasons. So if you pronounce this word the German way, it should be spotten. But spotten actually means to make fun of somebody, so when you want to ask someone to spot you in the gym, you'll need to pronounce it the English way, but with the German verb ending. Also, kannst du mich spotten, bitte? If you want to learn more German-related vocabulary, I have 2 lessons on that topic already that you can watch next. I'm going to also link them below. Now moving on, let's also talk about adjectives. There are so many adjectives in German that we use in a daily that are adapted from English. Like for example, cool, or stylish, smart, glamourös, nice, crazy, Some of these words are listed in the Duden, but as Jugendsprache, which means it's like teens slang. But you don't have to be a teenager to use these words. I use cool, nice, and crazy quite often with my friends as well, and we're definitely not teenagers anymore. Also, one of the reasons why I'm mentioning the Duden so often is because it's kind of like the German Bible for spelling and words in the German language, and as long as it's listed in there, it's officially accepted. Because I already see a bunch of people roasting me in the comments for teaching these words, but this is just how people speak on the streets nowadays. So if you don't want to sound like a robot or a textbook from 30 years ago, it might be a good idea to adapt. So let me know in the comments which Anglicisms you've encountered in daily life in Germany. To be honest, there are thousands of these, so I'm curious to know which ones you've heard or used. By the way, if you're just getting started to learn German and you want to learn more from me, the best way to go about this is to register for my free training for beginners. The link to do so is in the description box below. It's a taster lesson of my paid program, the German Fluency Academy, in which I help professionals and expats go from zero knowledge all the way up to a confident and solid B1 level. So if you're interested, I would love to see you there. And I'll be back next week with another lesson for you guys. Das ist alles für heute. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen und bis zum nächsten Mal. Tschüss!